Welcome in to the PHNX Suns podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button if you are watching on YouTube, or subscribe if you are listening wherever you listen to your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Lindsey, here with Espo and Gerald. Gentlemen, how you feeling on this Tuesday afternoon?
Relationships will die today.
If you thought yesterday's cereal bracket was bad, just wait until today's.
Yeah.
We've chosen violence, people.
We're already arguing and we haven't even started the bracket yet.
Like, I'm just really concerned because, Gerald, I thought you and I were going to be like best buds after the working together. Like, I like who you are, and now I'm questioning everything.
We see eye to eye on TV shows, but apparently movies, we just are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
It's just the way we're not even going to get into
Yeah,
it.
well,
Just hang tight till the end. We're going to talk some Suns basketball first, and then we will get into some crazy shenanigans. But as Sean says in the chat, relationships are already dead. So
Sean,
stick around for some chaos.
Lucky Charms suck, all right?
So first and foremost, one of the biggest things that we have all been talking about here recently is injuries. Unfortunately, the Suns have been kind of riddled with them as of late. And we all are asking the same question. What's going on with this person? What's going on with that person? So let's talk about it, because the Suns finally had practice today, and we got an update from Coach Monty Williams. Now, before we kind of break this down and talk about it, let's just hear directly from Monty himself. This was his update on Jay Crowder, Chris Paul, and Cam Payne.
They all did everything today, but we didn't do any 5-on-5. So they're all in much better shape than they were, especially Jay. We didn't know where he would end up, and Cam is feeling a lot better today. So we'll see with him. And Chris has been able to do more and more in increments the last few days. You know, what that means, I'm not going to say anything from an official standpoint, but he is moving closer.
Do you get excited when guys start to make serious progress like that, or are you just kind of waiting until you get the go from medical staff?
I am. I mean, I'm not that. Whatever that is, I'm not like that. But I do have to keep my focus on, the plan for that day and the next day with regards to who we have. And I find out from the medical team well in advance. But it is exciting to see guys on the floor doing more than they did before, or if you have a bit of a scare like you had the other day with Jay, to see him walking around on the bench the other day, I felt like he was okay, and I could tell by his countenance that it wasn't serious. And then to see him, do everything today, that gives you a bit of a jolt, if you will, not excitement, I guess.
Yeah, so there was initially some confusion because when Kellen first asked the question, he said Cam, and we all assumed because, Cam Payne was just out with a non-COVID illness, so it wasn't something that we expected him to be commenting about. But Monty interpreted Cam as Cam Payne, so his answer there was in regards to Payne, not Crowder, or not Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson did not practice today. That was the other update that we got aside from Monty. But it's good that all three of those guys were able to practice. Like you said, no 5-on-5. But, Crowder's thing, he was dealing with a groin injury, and then he landed on that guy's ankle, and it was kind of scary for a minute there because, he leaves the game, has to exit. But the way that he was back on the bench and able to play today, that's a positive sign. Payne, he said, was feeling a lot better later on in our interview. He said he was feeling a lot better. They're going to see how his energy is tomorrow because with a bug like that, it can kind of zap you of your energy. So they're going to see about him. And as for Chris Paul, he talked about, those increments of stuff he's been working on. Dwayne Rankin followed up and asked what those kind of increments were. And he kind of stonewalled him. He said, well,
he can say hi.
Yeah, he can tie his shoes.
He can dribble a ball.
He can dribble. And then that's where he cut off. So all that we know right now about Chris is he can say hi, tie his shoes, and dribble a basketball.
That's progress.
Yes, progress.
I couldn't tie my shoes before Chris Paul got injured and still can't. So Chris is back doing more than I can. weekend. So.
Yeah, and we someone asked him about the report from The Athletic that was saying that Chris could be back as early as Wednesday, and he said he would never comment on anything that they, as in the team, did not release. He said that's not something that came from us, that came from second-party sources or something like that. So,
okay, I have a question about that because we didn't touch on this yesterday.
Sure.
I heard a lot of people on the internet saying sources being Chris Paul because he's bored at home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like it was actually Chris Paul or Chris Paul's people who shared that information? What you thinking?
If the team isn't releasing it, it's usually the agent side. I mean, that's usually the two sides that something gets leaked from. So I'd imagine it's probably Chris's camp because he's itching to get back out there. I heard, I think it was our friend Flex said he's hearing Thursday rather than Wednesday, but it's soon is what I'm gathering based on everything we're hearing. When there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah. And you know, we talked about this on the last episode, how on practice before they left for their Sacramento trip, how they were keeping us waiting in the lobby for 45 minutes, most likely because Chris was getting some run. Then we see that pregame workout in Sacramento, like he's clearly ramping up. So it wouldn't surprise me if it came from his party, as long as it's not like a type of power play type thing where like play him type deal. As long as he's fully healthy, I'm fine with it. They do need to get a little bit of a rhythm. Monty talked about that as well. You know, getting your playoff rotation in order, getting guys back in a game rhythm, a conditioning rhythm, all of that stuff is helpful with this handful of games that they have before the playoffs start, especially since the 1 seed's all but locked up at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not a power play. I mean, to a peek behind the curtain, sometimes this is a guy like a Sam Amick may have had something in the past that he was asked not to run with, and then in turn you get something like this as a, hey, you did us a solid, so we're going to do you a solid. That's kind of the way.
There's a lot of trading happening behind the scenes when it comes to what is shared with the public versus what is kept close.
There's an art and a dance to all of it. Sorry, Gerald, to peel the curtain back on on your world, but there's a dance to it.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's probably a lot of it is, like you said, it's giving a scoop to somebody for whatever reason, but it's also to build some anticipation, to get people excited, and to get some eyeballs back on not just the Suns, but Chris Paul's return to the Suns. The more you can, it's like movies and things of that. You drop trailers, right? You tease people. You get them really looking forward to things, and then you
said movies, and I got triggered already just thinking about it.
Hold on. So that thing in pregame of Chris Paul working out before the Kings game that they showed was the teaser trailer. Is that what we're getting to?
Exactly.
The article was the full trailer, and now we're just waiting for the release date.
Exactly.
I see how it is.
That's how it works.
That works.
So anything else on those three guys specifically that you want to share?
Not on them, but we could talk about just real quick, because I asked about Frank Kaminsky because he was out there shooting with the bigs as well. Monty said he's done a bit more drill work with the team than he has in recent weeks. He's doing a little bit more, ramping up a little bit, but he hasn't been able to do 5-on-5, or even when they do kind of 5-on-0, he called it. They run through their sets and situations and stuff like that. Kaminsky hasn't been able to participate yet, so he's still probably a ways away, but it is good to see him out there shooting and practicing in some of the drills with the team.
Do you get a sense in terms of, not to go back, but I'm going to anyways, in terms of Cam Johnson, that there's any concern with how long it's taking? I've had some people on Twitter seeming concerned, some people on our Discord. Right. To me, seems like just precaution, but what are you hearing?
Yeah, I would guess so. I think it's one of those situations where if he could play, he'd be out there just because of how many guys they've had down, especially recently when Jay missed a couple games. But I don't think it's something that'll linger into the playoffs. If you remember back to last year, Cam Johnson was dealing with kind of a wrist or a hand thing heading into the playoffs, and there was some concern because he was on a ice cold streak heading into the postseason, and then he turns around, and I think it was the 4th highest true shooting percentage in an NBA playoff run in history that Cam Johnson had. So he's a guy that even if he's only back a couple games before the start of the playoffs, I'm sure he'll be able to work the rust off again. And he's been playing some of his best basketball, so it's unfortunate he went down, but I don't think it's something that's going to linger into the playoffs. I think it's just kind of surprising how long it's taken for that to clear up a little bit.
Yeah, people hear bruise, contusion, and they think, oh, it's like when I get a bruise or whatever, but this could be bone bruise. It could be deep
Right.
bruise, which is totally
Well, they
different.
were talking a lot about just the blood buildup kind of in there, which I personally have not heard before
Yeah.
when talking about injuries. So I feel like that means it was a little bit more substantial than maybe what they anticipated at first.
Yeah. It's entirely possible, but that's all we
So-
know for now. We'll see if he's upgraded at all, his status. I'm assuming he's out for tomorrow. We'll see about Thursday and then Sunday. My guess for Chris Paul's return would probably be Thursday or Sunday, just because of the back-to-back coming up, but we'll see.
Do you think Thursday could be the day? Because look, Magic number's 2.
Mm-hmm.
So they win Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
They control their own destiny Thursday to wrap up the 1 seed.
Yeah.
It gives them one game that has some meaning to
Yeah.
it.
But
think
you
maybe?
also, that could be irrelevant come Thursday too, because if the Grizzlies fall or drop one and then they win tomorrow, then that
They
could be
already
over
there.
with already.
Yeah, they just don't want to let Denver say, or let us say, oh, if only we had Chris Paul against Denver.
Right.
So.
I think on their list of things, it's just, taking care. They always approach it one game at a time. So I think when they're looking at that Nuggets game, they're thinking less about the 1 seed and they're thinking more about like second night of a back-to-back. It'd be great if we got this guy back. Like that would really help.
Yeah.
And, you look at some of the heavy minutes that guys have been playing, Mikal especially, it'd be good to have a starter like Chris back and give him as much time as possible to shake the cobwebs off and get back in a game rhythm.
So the last thing I have on this group of players that we've been talking about here, Frank Kaminsky. James Jones did say a while back that he would be surprised if Frank was not back before the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
What is your gut telling you, both of you? Gut intuition, a week, 2 weeks? Are we talking like the very last 2 games of the season?
That's what I would guess. And I have
The last 2 games of the season?
I have no background information on this, but just based on everything that we've been told about him, based on the fact that he hasn't been doing 5-on-5 yet, there's only 10 games left in the season. And because they have that center rotation of DeAndre Ayton, JaVale McGee, and Bismack Biyombo, with Torrey Craig being able to play small ball 5, like they don't need him to come back. If they didn't have Bismack, or if JaVale was banged up or something, maybe we'd see him, trying to ramp up sooner. But given his injury history, I think they're playing it cautious with him, and they don't need him back. They would like to have him back, but I would guess maybe 1 or 2, 3 games before the playoff starts, maybe he's back.
Look, he's going to come back with 3 games left, and in the final game, he's dropping 31. I'm going to cry like a damn baby. That's what's going to happen.
It'll be a great day on this show, that's for sure. All right, before we move on, we're going to take a quick break because college basketball fans, it's time to join the action on the court during the biggest tournament of the year with DraftKings Sportsbook.
With who?
DraftKings
DraftKings.
Sportsbook.
All right.
Turn your team's victory into your own big win. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get
Just $5?
$200 in free bets if they do. I know, right? Amazing. It's really simple. If they win, you win. Now, if you're already a user of the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you can also bet on college hoops with same-game parlays.
Same game parlays.
That means if you combine multiple bets from the same game, you're going to get a bigger payout.
What? Like, so I could say, hey, this team's going to win and this dude's going to drop 30?
Yeah, and then you're going to get even more money.
What?
if
How
you
do I
win.
add more legs? Just like add additional bets?
I don't know. Don't ask me. That's
All right. Okay. Well, let's get back to it. $5, Lindsay?
$5. So listen, all you got to do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code PHNX. Bet just $5 on any college hoops team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win with the promo code PHNX this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, just a reminder, that is 21 and older only, Arizona only. If you have a gambling problem, Espo, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only, minimum $5 minimum deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details.
What was that promo code again?
PHNX.
Okay, thank you. Do we got more, or is that we're
Nope,
just doing
that's
one?
it for right now.
Damn. All right. I thought we were going to run through all of them so you don't forget them.
That was just a one-time
Okay.
thing.
2 more to go
one-time
then,
thing.
just so you know.
2 or so to go. All right. So we also did get to hear from Mikal Bridges today at practice. And I always love hearing from Mikal Bridges. He's a fun guy to chat with. He
is.
always gives you guys a little grief back as well. But what were some of the highlights from that conversation?
Yeah. So we talked to Elfrid Payton and Mikhail, and one question, an article that I'm working on is Monty Williams' case for Coach of the Year. And so we asked them both, their thoughts. Obviously, they're biased. They play for the guy. But Elfrid Payton said it's not even close. Like, he should be the number one choice, and it's not close. Mikal Bridges said he should have won it last year, which is what we've been saying for a year now. So we're going to get more of these sound bites as the weeks roll on to build up to this piece. But I struggle with anyone else being above Monty for Coach of the Year. I've been saying this over and over. So it is nice to hear these guys bringing legitimate reasons, concrete reasons to the table about why Monty is the best, as far as the way that he manages this group, the way that he motivates them, keeps them locked in, keeps them focused on a day-to-day basis. Like, that is so hard to do over the course of an 82-game season, especially as a team coming off a finals run. Like, they have every right to just coast through the regular season and then want to turn it on for the playoffs. But this group just doesn't approach it that way, and Monty is a huge part of that. And just the way their offense has been humming with guys in and out of the lineup. We talk about all the other teams' injuries all the time, but the Suns have only played 32 games with DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul in the lineup together, and they're still 9 games better than the next closest team.
Do you think he could potentially be a victim of his own success, though?
Yeah.
Has he been too good, Gerald?
I do, and I honestly, there's some historical precedence for this, because if you look at the list of teams that have won at an 80% clip like the Suns, I think only 4 of those 18 teams had the Coach of the Year that season. So it's almost like teams that are historically great are too good. They're penalized for being too good, probably because they have great players, which I'm sure helps. But it's just like, I have a hard time, if you look at their record from the start of the bubble, how much more dominant they've been than every other team. We're going to look back on this 2-year stretch if Monty doesn't win this year and wonder how the hell that man never won a Coach of the Year award.
All right, guys, we have a very special guest joining us now. A friend of the program, Chris Vernon. You may know him from the Ringer NBA and NFL show, or from the Chris Vernon Show at Grind City Media. Vernon, thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. What a setup you guys have. Good grief. I need a studio like that.
Hey, we've seen your Grind City Media studio. You're not broadcasting from Mom's basement in there either. So.
No, we got a really nice setup ourselves, but I need more decorations like you guys.
We got you. I'll send you some Pinterest ideas. I'll text you after the show.
Perfect.
Listen, before we make you talk solely just about the Phoenix Suns, let's first talk a little bit about the Suns and the Grizzlies. So, 2 of the top teams in the league, of course. I want to know your opinion. How do you think these 2 teams would match up in a playoff series?
I think it would be very tough for the Grizzlies. The Suns have been, I think, I go to every game that's in Memphis, and the 2 best teams that I've seen in person this year, and I've been talking about this throughout the year, so I get to come by this honest. Phoenix in the West and Miami in the East. Those were the 2 that I walked out of the arena, and I was like, damn. And I think a lot of it's the matchups, and it's like the whole grown men thing. They've got some veterans, they've got some toughness, like Paul, like Crowder. They've got Bridges that they put on Morant. They were a tough matchup for the Grizzlies for sure. They are the only team that I think, like, I would be stunned if the Grizzlies beat them. Other than that, I think the Grizzlies, if you told me the Grizzlies beat the Warriors, I would not be stunned. And on down the line, maybe Dallas been a pretty bad matchup. But they haven't had Dylan Brooks for those games. But I certainly think that, Phoenix is the number 1 team, and I certainly think they are the class of the conference. I think unless they, didn't have Paul or had some kind of injury, I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody in the West to beat them.
I want to ask in terms of Ja Morant. We've heard the hype, we've seen the highlights. Is he as good as the national media has made him out to be, or is it because he has such amazing highlights that he gets additional attention because of that? You're a guy that sees him on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I mean, you always get additional highlights, or anytime you get additional highlights, you're going to get a lot more love. But, you know, he started the All-Star game for a reason. He is a bona fide like superstar. He does the superstar stuff. So I would say I almost think he's better than some of the hype. And that's just because people check the highlights, but as you guys know, when you're watching games, you see guys make winning plays, or you see like a game in the balance and you see guys take over. Um, and I know you guys have seen a lot with Chris there, where it's like this feeling of it's a close game with 3 minutes left to go. We've got our guy, you've got your guy. All right, let's go and let's see who wins. And he's that. He's that. He is the guy that you feel comfort that he is on your team with 2 minutes left to go in a 1 or 2 possession game, and that he's going to deliver. And obviously, by their record, he has delivered over and over again. And when it all really started last year, when they got into the playoffs, they played Utah, and he had 47 in a playoff game against the number 1 seed, against the number 1 defense. And that was kind of like a sign of things to come. But this year, he's taken that leap. Like, it's like I've said this before. He skipped like stardom. He went straight from a guy that everybody thought was very good and a guy that people were high on to superstar level. This guy's got the ball with the game on the line, and he's going to deliver. And much like he kind of skipped that middle step, that's what the Grizzlies did. They just skipped that middle step completely. Usually your fringe playoff team, then your middle of the pack playoff team, then your home court advantage playoff team. But they skipped that. They went straight to home court advantage, 2nd seed playoff team. And I think a large part of that is because he is just unbelievable.
Yeah, we understand that here in Phoenix.
Can
we know that well.
Yeah, right. You
Suns
skipped
fans.
every step.
Yeah, Suns fans are definitely familiar with the late game abilities that you're talking about as well. That game winner that he had here in Phoenix a few months back.
Oh, poor Baines.
Yeah.
You know what? I was talking about your swag. That is the one thing I do have in my studio. In fact, I've got it up on my wall. Can you guys see that? Look at that. You see it? That's Aaron Baines cracked on.
Oh, R.I.P. Baines.
Hey, sorry to Aaron Baines, but I mean, I've got that damn thing everywhere.
No, I am curious though, because you talked about, there are some similarities between the Suns and the Grizzlies, the way that last year the Suns just took that leap that nobody kind of saw coming from them. Grizzlies, same deal this year. So just based on your feeling for the fan base and the media out there, what would constitute a good season for the Grizzlies? Because they are still a young team. They got to the playoffs last year.
Yeah. Oh God, man. Because I heard somebody a couple weeks ago like picking them to be in the Western Conference Finals, and I got queasy because and I don't know how you guys felt last year, but much like the Suns, they had some momentum from the year before, right? Everybody got hurt in the bubble, and Jaren got hurt in the bubble, and Ja had a great last game, but they lost that play-in thing to Portland, and so Portland ended up getting it. So they run it back the next year, last year, and still really didn't have Jaren the whole time, and it was like a surprise, the fact that they were even in the mix. And in fact, they had to win on the road in Golden State to even get there. So that was just like, I mean, cloud 9 stuff. This season has all just been an absolute like dream. And so when I say that I heard somebody picking them to make the West Finals and I got queasy, it's because I don't want this to ever be framed as a disappointment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they are so far ahead of any kind of schedule that anyone could have ever put on them. And so the fact that they have overachieved in this massive, massive way in relation to expectations, I don't want to set them up for, but they haven't been through, they don't have playoff scars. They've got, those 5 games they played against Utah last year. but typically, you do have to go through it.
Mhm.
And I do think that they're an outstanding team. And I do think that they have, much like Phoenix, the culture thing is real.
Mhm.
Like I think you hear it. Lord knows I've covered 10 coaches in Memphis. Every one of them comes in and says, we got to have a culture. We're going to change the culture. Like
We're familiar.
Taylor Jenkins, yeah, right. Taylor Jenkins and that front office, like they did it. And, the truth is culture's player driven,
Mhm.
and you had Monty and you had Chris, and we had Taylor Jenkins and we had Ja Morant. And make no mistake, it all emanates from that. If those guys aren't, you know, in lockstep, which ours are, and then it all like filters down. But typically you gotta win in the playoffs. I do think that they're gonna be okay in the first, round, probably the second round. But again, I don't want it to I don't want it to be viewed as some kind of disappointment
Mhm.
because they're so far ahead of schedule. This was not supposed to be like this. They are so good, so fast. And it's all just been it's all been fun. It's
Mhm.
been fun, you're right. And so uh you hate the idea that they would be looked at as underwhelming in any way.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the most exciting parts for us too with the Suns is just like how much fun we're actually
Yeah.
having right now compared to years
Right.
past. Same for you, I'm sure. So I have a question just kind of because you cover the Grizzlies, obviously, and you have been for a really long time, but you are also a part of the national media. So, what are your thoughts on just different teams who maybe you could consider? I don't even like this kind of phrase, but like the mid-level market teams, right? Actually becoming the front runners in the league right now versus teams like the Lakers. You're getting new teams who are at the top, new faces to highlight. What are your thoughts on kind of the shift of the
Yeah.
powerhouses in the league?
Well, I think a part of that is that, and this has been good. Now look, let me just say this: the disaster, the disaster. Let me just get the bad part out of the way because Kevin and I talked about this on the mismatch this morning. The disaster would be that Kawhi Leonard becomes truly the king of load management and that he's fine and that they're playing possum and then he comes back and
Mhm.
George comes back and then they win the damn title or something like that, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's disaster land because then this whole we traded every draft pick, we teamed up together for a super team, it worked. Like it
Mhm.
played out. All right. Save that. The Lakers being crappy is great. Um, the Brooklyn Nets having their debacle with Harden off, now already, that thing kind of falling apart, worked out famously. And I do think that, and then you think about the front runners for MVP right now. Giannis is a guy that's in a smaller market, and he stayed, and he's probably going to stay forever. Jokic, smaller market, has stayed. He's probably going to stay forever. Morant is up there, like he's on those lists as one of the top 5-6 guys. Smaller market, loves Memphis. Has talked about how he wants to, be there forever. And people believe him in a way they don't believe some guys that are disingenuous about it and are just saying that so that the fans like them at the time. Um, but I think you've seen like the whole grass isn't greener thing has worked out very well. And take Chris for instance, right? Like I had a tremendous amount of respect for. He could have dogged it. He could have forced his way out. He could have done all manner of things in Oklahoma City, and instead he put that damn team on his back and almost got him home court advantage. And then they did right by him, and he ends up in Phoenix, and next thing you know, he's playing in a finals
Mhm.
there, right? And so he kind of went a different route. Like you don't think Chris Paul could have walked over and forced his way to anywhere? He's Chris Paul. These guys can do it. And now you're seeing some of the younger players that are even trying to do it. And so I think that that's part of it. I think part of it is that the bigger markets have these teams that they've assembled like that. And it hasn't worked out. Miami is, I mean, I don't want to say that one's not assembled though, because Bam, they drafted Bam and Hero, and they developed Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and all these guys. They added Kyle, and they obviously were able to get Jimmy a couple of years ago though. But it's not like, hey, here's these guys that are going to force their way to be able to go all play together. And that hasn't worked out. I mean, the Lakers had that bubble championship, but I mean, so if you want to say it's one great year, but they didn't even get to enjoy that. The other 3 years have been rather crappy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of players that see that and they sit there and go, man, maybe grass ain't always greener. And I think that benefits the smaller markets. I really do.
Oh, Chris, you brought up a lot of guys who've decided to stay in their city, one of which is here in Phoenix, in Devin Booker. Today alone, we've heard the NBA great Isaiah Thomas say Devin Booker should be an MVP candidate. We've heard Zach Lowe say, he's not even really a third-team All-NBA guy to me, but I'll put him in there. I want to know, where do you stand on Devin Booker and if he's a superstar and what his respect should be in this league?
Oh, I mean, look, there's no question Booker is – I was talking about, like, delivering at the end, like, I mean, he's a guy that certainly you're fearful of if you're the opposing team when he's got the ball. I do think that he's kind of, right before I came on, I heard you guys talking about Monty, and that you could look back and, geez Louise, how did this guy not get a Coach of the Year or something like that? And I suppose that maybe Booker would get his due if it weren't for Chris. If I'm being honest with you guys, I think that so many people, they look and they say, yeah, well, Devin Booker was there for a long time and they sucked. Like, what's the difference here? Like, yeah, and you can say it's all everything. It's Monty, it's Ayton growing, it's Bridges becoming what he was, it's Jay Crowder coming over. There's obviously a lot of factors, but on the surface level, people think like Chris Paul went there and they became awesome. Like that's it. And so that's the hard part for Devin, I think. I really do. Because yes, and look, they're 8-2 in their last 10, right? Like when I talked about the culture, that's obviously a real thing, and Booker has been outstanding. And Booker's even played point guard in some of these games where he's dominating the ball. And I think that it would almost take – I think that Chris going there and them becoming good instantly, right? Like that it was very hard to gauge for everybody how much better Booker got, how much better Bridges got, how much better Ayton got, how much better all those guys got, because so much of the credit then is like, well, yeah, they got Chris Paul and look at that, Yeah, and because they were pretty good in and they had a good run at the bubble. And then they got Chris and everything changed. And so it's like, even if you have gotten a lot better, you don't necessarily get the credit that you deserve because Chris came there and he's going to get a lot of the credit.
So is Booker an all-NBA team guy in your books?
I don't think that's crazy. I mean, I think that once you get to I don't think he's going to be in the first two teams. I mean, this year is going to be crazy because they got to figure out what they're doing with the bigs. Are they going to really? Because even just that first team, you remember last year, some guys voted for Jokic and they didn't vote for Embiid.
Right.
And this year, they haven't really figured out yet if they're going to do it with centers and if they're going to list them both at center and forward, because that sets the whole thing in motion.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're going to put Jokic and Embiid both on that first team and weirdly list one of them at forward, even though they've never played forward in their life, then the trickle down of that is immense. Now that changes everything for everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's crazy. Again, I think Booker gets hurt by Paul. That's what I tell you.
I think that's the frustrating thing for us. Sorry,
Yeah,
Chris.
yeah,
I think that's the frustrating thing for us is because for so long Booker was seen as an empty calories guy. He was the guy that puts up good numbers on a losing team. Yeah. And now that he's on the best team in the NBA by a wide margin, he's and his numbers are slightly down. It's like, well, he's got Chris Paul, or well, he's on. I think that's probably the frustrating thing. But my last question.
People talk about MVP, they talk about Chris. If they talk about all that, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, do they get two guys?
Right, and it's tough because he's put up great numbers since Chris has been out too. But my last question, you alluded to it earlier, because obviously we're biased here in Phoenix. You guys are you're out there in Memphis. Coach of the year, make your case for Taylor Jenkins, because obviously for me it's 1A and 1B between those two. But I'm curious to your thoughts on the Coach of the Year race.
I do not think that they're look. This is not one of those when you have these coaches do such an unbelievable job. I would say that I'm not going to go irate over any. These guys. To me, it would have to be somebody insanely goofy for me to get mad about it. I think they've got kind of a usual suspects. The case would be nobody picked the Grizzlies to be anywhere ahead of the play-in at all. And so if you were supposed to be like 8th, 9th, 10th, and you're second, that's tough to beat. When you beat Las Vegas put their win total at a total that they beat by like friggin' Martin Luther King Day or something. Like they smashed through. So if you're judging it on what were you expected to do versus what you achieved, and that's what we're going to give credit to coach for, then I think that's why Taylor Jenkins would be the front runner, because it just you smash through expectations. I'm not telling you that's the right way to do it, but you asked me to make the case, that would be the case. I'll tell you this, one of the guys I would tell you that, sometimes the Coach of the Year may not necessarily be the guy that won the most, right? I don't know if you guys have seen them in person. I have absolutely no idea how the Clippers have won the amount of games they have. It is like that guy is a magician. What he has done winning, what do they got? I'm looking here. They're almost 500. They're 36 and 37. I saw them in person. I've seen them now a couple of times. They're horrible.
Yeah.
I leave the arena and I go, how in the hell have they won 30-something games? No Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard. It's crazy. But no, I think with Monty and with Taylor Jenkins, you're not going to go wrong either way. And I think that the case would be that the Grizzlies were supposed to be a team fighting to get into the playoffs, and now they're the 2 seed.
So then Monty got snubbed last year, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Was it Tibbs? Is that who won?
Yeah, Tibbs won.
It was Tibbs. That
they were supposed to suck too, though.
Look, if
they were like the 5 seed.
If Ty Lue wins, we'll meet you in New York and we'll all go have a discussion at the league offices, because that's a problem.
He's not going to win it. No, look, I'm not stumping for Ty Lue. I'm just telling you that the coaching job he's done is outrageous. I don't think Monty or Taylor Jenkins, I don't think anybody in the world is winning 30. I don't know what he's done. I don't know how. I don't know how he's won that many games. But look, I don't know where was most of Phoenix projections were first or second place, right? Wouldn't you say?
This year, yes.
This year, yes. Yeah.
So that's the problem, is they lived up to expectations rather than smashing everybody's expectations. Who are you scared of? That's what I want to know. I'm flipping it on you.
Hey, you guys. I'm scared of Memphis.
Stop. No, they're not.
Me personally, I am. I don't think the Suns themselves are.
No, that's it. But that's the team that you think is dangerous to the Suns?
I do. I mean, obviously Golden State's the wild card here, right? If Steph and Draymond are playing up to their peak, that team can scare anybody. But right now, as we stand, Memphis is a scary proposition for the Suns and for me as a fan of the Suns, because I just look at that team and they got nothing to lose. Like you're saying, they've smashed expectations, so you can play freely like the Suns did last year, and they've just got the kind of defense and offense that I think makes them a challenge for a team like the Suns.
What about, are you fearful at all of AD, Westbrook, LeBron if they do get the 8?
No, just watch April 5th. You'll see how little Phoenix is scared of LA.
Kevin asked me that this morning, and I said Phoenix will smash them.
Yeah. Not at all.
My favorite was that report that was like, oh, they've got us right where they want us, the Lakers report from
Yeah. If the Lakers want the Suns, there's more dysfunction there than we thought, all right?
The Golden State thing is wild, too, because they, you could just say that Draymond, Clay, Curry, it'll be like riding a bike, but it better be.
Mm-hmm.
Because they hadn't logged it's like right when Clay came back, Draymond went out. And then right when Draymond came back, Curry went out. And they're going to test the theory. Doesn't matter if they've gotten the requisite amount of minutes with those guys around them, those ancillary parts. And can they just, after Clay hadn't played basketball in 2 years, and then he hasn't played with these guys in forever either. It's just not a lot of minutes that they're going to have logged by the time you're getting into the most high leverage basketball you could play. I don't know, man. That's tough.
Yeah, that's the same reason the Kawhi Paul George thing doesn't scare me as much, because there's just that lack of minutes too. So if he is playing the ultimate game of possum, I'm not particularly scared because there's not going to be the chemistry there. Those two guys coming back to this group that's overachieved could just screw up the entire dynamic that they have there too, and going into the playoffs.
Maybe, but they are. Yeah, the only thing, the weird thing about that is you have, I think it was Chris Haynes in January was Kawhi's feeling better. He's progressing well. They were saying he was dunking.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be just like him to be just not want to play in the regular season?
Oh yeah.
And then he just set the standard as a guy who I really don't care about the how many times do I have to? I only play when they force me to play anyway. So now I've found an owner that just is fine with me not playing at all in the regular season as long as we get to the playoffs. And then he shows up and he scores 35 points a game. That would be so bogus.
That's the type of passive income we all need to be striving for in our lives.
I know.
If he does it, AD's just going to claim that's what he's been doing.
That would look. No, by the way, that would be you guys better take care of business if they're the 8 and just smash them, because that's the worst case scenario. I take back what I said. The Kawhi thing is not the worst, because he actually blew out his leg, right? The idea that LeBron, Westbrook, and AD could have no games together, and then when they did have games together, suck, and then get to the playoffs and then just start mangling people, and then they just make a total mockery of an 82-game season. That's the worst case scenario, because then it's now they haven't tried the whole damn year, and now all of a sudden they're trying and they're beating the shit out of people. That would be terrible.
You would literally never hear the end of it.
Thanks, Thanks, Chris. I wasn't scared of the Lakers until now, and now I have my nightmare. I appreciate it.
It's going to be okay.
It's my nightmare too. Trust me, as a fan of a small market team, that's I root against this. I said now, of course, it's falling apart for Brooklyn a little bit with the whole Harden thing, and who knows what's going on with Ben Simmons. But I remember months ago, I was like, no. I am rooting for Brooklyn to do great, because I want it to be the greatest possible disappointment it could be. I don't want them sneaking up on anybody. I want them to have put this together and then it fails.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Because I do think that ends up being good for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has been good for the NBA. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Vernon, the last thing I have for you before we let you go, I'm going to need you to start campaigning some more for Mikal Bridges, Defensive Player of the Year, just as like a personal favor for me, please, and thank you.
Jaren Jackson plays for the Grizzlies, Lindsey, and
we'll give you Coach of the Year.
He's leading the league in blocks. He's got all the, Vorp, Raptor, Crafter, all the extra stuff. So I love Bridges. I think Bridges
just you don't have to like go full blown. Just every few weeks, just drop his name. Just occasionally.
The only look, what you need is somebody that don't go with me. I'm not powerful enough.
I'm trying to get everybody I can convince.
Find the writer, just target a writer and have them write the why Mikal Bridges is the Defensive Player of the Year article. And because even we're 10 games left and it's kind of up in the air, people aren't married. That's what I found. People aren't married to any of these award picks, and there's 10 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it feels like these are still kind of in the balance. I feel like Mikal Bridges could have 7 steals tomorrow night and he becomes the front runner. or Jaren Jackson could have 8 blocks on national TV against the Nets tomorrow night. And all of a sudden he wins the award. Like I really feel this way about how this is kind of in the balance. But what we know about the media is that they're all copycats too. And so you just need somebody to be the bold one to come out there and say, this guy is the Defensive Player of the Year. And they all follow suit because they don't have their own strong opinion. The most of them not going to stand up and be like, well, no, it's not Mikal Bridges, it's Jaren Jackson. Or no, it's not Jaren Jackson, it's Mikal Bridges. Like they'll just be like, oh, you know what? That actually makes sense. And I don't feel like doing all this work anyway. Right? And I will say this. I don't think there's a perimeter guy that's won it. Did Kawhi win one? I don't think he has.
Kawhi has won. I think he's won 1 or 2. Yeah,
Defensive Player of the Year almost always goes to a big.
Right.
I don't think that's right. As a fan, look, as someone who hosted a show for years with Tony Allen, I don't think that's right. But I will say that I don't think there's been a. I'm gonna look this up while we're on here.
That's why I'm saying you gotta help us out. You gotta switch up the narrative. Like let's reward a non-big.
I think it's been a long time. Rudy Gobert, Giannis, Rudy, Draymond, Kawhi won it back-to-back years in 14-15 and 15-16, and then the year before Joakim Noah, Mark Gasol for the Grizzlies, and that's the year that Tony Allen probably should have won it.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been either Mark or Tony. But Zach Lowe wrote an article why Mark Gasol should be Defensive Player of the Year, and he won him that award. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah.
100%.
Can you put in a good word with Mr. Bill Simmons and ask if he can come out of retirement and write the Mikal piece for us?
He ain't gonna write it, but if he says it on his pod, it'll have power. You guys aren't on national TV enough either, even after being in the damn finals.
That's facts.
That's
true. Show or the team? Because I agree on both fronts.
Hey, that's what honestly like hurts.
Yeah.
It's same with the Grizzlies. You know what I mean? Like if you're not on TV and people aren't seeing it, and I'm not talking like hardcores like us that are checking out League Pass and they have an awareness of a lot more going on and are keeping up with it daily. I'm talking about like just, I'm out and about. I just flip on the TV and it's the game that's on. It's on ESPN or it's on TNT or it's on wherever. Like, I mean, those performances end up they have lasting impressions on people, right? I can't tell you, I feel like I've done it with Tatum twice in the last like 2 months. I've seen him in these big national TV games and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, who is this? Like, guy, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable scoring. Like it, but again, like it's hard to have those. It's hard to get the buzz unless you kind of have the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say, you got another. When's your next big national TV one? You don't need anybody to do your help. You need to tell Mikal to get you 7 steals in the game.
I think it's Sunday against Philly. I think it's a matinee game.
If like just taking Harden completely out of the game, which honestly isn't it's not that big of a deal right now.
He can do that to himself. So.
Yeah, he's shooting like 27% from the field or something in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, just like taking him out completely, or like even just those highlights. Like it would be like those lockup highlights where he ends up just quitting, or he blocks his stupid step back 3. That's what you need. You need those highlights to go around.
I think we need a Mikal block on a Ja dunk on April 1st, and that seals the deal. So.
I think the universe would shatter if that happened.
That'd be something, that's for sure.
Yeah, he needs to maybe meet somebody at the rim too, Mikal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or swat one like 30 feet or 30 rows into the stands. Like just something spectacular. Because defensive players, I mean, it's hard to make defensive play unless it's steals and blocks.
Right.
I mean, there's no such defensive highlights are tough to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Vernon, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and your insight and having some good conversation here. And everyone listening and watching, be sure to follow him on Twitter at Chris Vernon Show. We'll catch up with you come April. Maybe we'll have to have a little group text beef going on here.
I got to get down there. I want to play that golf course I was just watching.
Let's go.
We'll make it happen if you get out here.
When do they tear the stadium down? I want to play with the stadium.
I think they already tore it down, but we come out for Super Bowl. We'll figure out how to get you out there.
Yeah.
Well, how about you guys just stand behind the green? You guys,
whatever you need, man. We'll make it happen.
We got tons of young kids at this company who will gladly get drunk and cheer you on out there. I promise.
That'd be perfect. Yeah. No, I hope we meet each other in the West Finals for sure.
All right, Vernon. We'll see you later.
All right, guys. Thanks, guys.
Always a good time chatting with Chris Vernon. He cracks me up every single time. I love him. He's good people, that's for sure.
Yeah. We still got like another 20 minutes left in the show, too.
That's okay.
Remember, we got ads, Lindsay.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's do one real quick. Let me tell you about Athletic Greens and why it's a no-brainer. 1, it supports better sleep quality and recovery. 2, it has over 7,000 5-star reviews. 3, it costs you less than $3 a day, plus you're investing in your health. I mean, we could go on and on and on. It has over 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and more.
Let me handle this, Lindsay.
Okay,
all right.
You got this.
The one thing to tell you about Athletic Greens is it makes me feel good. And when you look at this, and if I can feel good by taking something, that says a whole hell of a lot, all right? I'm just going to tell you that. I love me some Athletic Greens. I forgot mine today, and I am dragging. Like it is better than a cup of coffee in the morning. It's better than 5 cups of coffee like I usually drink. It is my favorite thing to get me going. I can't wait to take it tomorrow morning.
More energy than 5 cups of coffee?
It does.
That's legit.
That's a lot of energy.
That is legit. I mean, if you guys want to try out some Athletic Greens and you want to invest in your health, now is a really great time to do so because they're making it really easy for you. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/sons. One more time, athleticgreens.com/sons to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Easiest way to eat your vegetables without eating your vegetables.
Yes. While we're also talking about health, we want you guys to remain healthy and safe out here in these streets. So, just a reminder, children
when you out there in these streets,
broadcasting live to the streets.
I'm trying to make this funny.
When I think streets, I think Lindsey Smith. All right.
Anyway, children 5 and older are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is the best tool we have to reduce the chances of getting sick with COVID-19. The COVID-19 vaccine can reduce the risk of being hospitalized or dying from the disease. Safe, free, and highly effective COVID-19 vaccines are available throughout Arizona. Visit azhealth.gov/findvaccine for a location near you.
Please don't get your vaccine from the streets.
No, please don't do that.
Totally different thing out there. Highly recommend doing the right way to get your vaccine.
All right. Are you guys ready for some chaos?
Are we going to bracket this? Should we speed bracket this?
Listen,
Let's speed bracket this.
Let me just
I'm
tell
gonna be
you
so
right
mad.
quick.
I already know it.
We're going to do a bracket of Gerald's top movie franchises.
These are not my top
Because
movie
mine
franchises.
were not included.
What were
The
not
majority
included?
of the
What
ones
was
I
not
threw out didn't
included?
get included.
What was
So,
not included?
These are officially a bracket of Gerald's top movie franchises.
These are not mine. These are the
Let's
top
do
movie
it.
franchises.
Legally Blonde wasn't included, all right?
Okay,
sorry.
let's backtrack.
The movie holds up. It does, though.
It's not a franchise.
But it still holds up. All right, what do we have
Gerald's
first?
to blame for whatever's about to happen. Just
I put
remember.
meticulous
It's Gerald's
thought into the seating, which was way better than our cereal bracket. So I'm already I'm immune to your backlash.
What do we got first?
The sequels of the first one.
Oh,
All
the
right,
sequel.
all of the sequels.
So your seating was James Bond 1.
With the number 1, James Bond versus the number 4, Mission Impossible. Then we've got number 2, Fast and Furious versus number 3, Rocky.
Look, James, there is no Mission Impossible if there isn't a James Bond.
Totally
So
agree.
there's no argue for Mission Impossible here. I think James Bond should be a clean sweep here.
Plus, Tom Cruise is kind of trash, so we're going to go James Bond. The Daniel Craig movies are phenomenal, by the way.
I don't like
Lindsay.
any of these.
Doesn't
So,
matter
you
because
guys
we've
vote.
already went Bond twice. So
You guys vote.
I'm going Rocky on this.
Absolutely. Fast and Furious is overrated as hell.
And Rocky has had some. Rocky won an Oscar, all right. Fast and
really?
the Furious. Yeah,
Why?
the first Rocky won Oscars.
That's kind of hilarious.
Go look. Well, it did. Rocky moves forward.
Okay, now what, James Bond or Rocky?
Now I think
Now
we
it's
just need to
tricky.
ask who wins in a fist fight, Rocky or James Bond.
Well, that's not fair.
I think James Bond still wins.
Oh, wow, that's
the thing.
impressive.
BS.
I don't think he wins in a fist fight per se, but I think he wins in a fight because he's got a gun.
Well, he also has gadgets that I'm sure Q gave him something to win a fist fight too. I think James Bond stands the test of time compared to Rocky. I mean,
Yes.
there's 500 James Bond movies. There's like 10 Rocky.
And they're all the exact same.
The
What?
James
Of
so
James
are the
Bond?
Rocky
Yeah.
movies.
No.
The Rocky
The Daniel
movies are all the
Craig
same.
James Bond movies are like legitimately good movies.
I mean,
This
the
is true.
premise, though, is like, it's the same.
So
You've seen
every
one, you've seen them all.
look, there's like 7 premises to in the world. All movies are all
They're all
based
recycled.
on the same kind of thing. So James Bond
Wait,
moves on.
did
I'm
you
going
go James Bond?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
going James Bond.
I hate both of you.
Hey, you said you didn't care about this.
Well,
So.
I can't because both of you are gonna. You guys are literally the same person when it comes to movies. So
No,
I
that
may
is
as
not
well
true.
just be not
This is what
involved.
happened yesterday with the cereal bracket.
That's not true. I sided with both of you.
I
I
at
got
different
teamed up on
times.
Cinnamon Life. Who has Cinnamon Life? Thank you, Saul.
It's a cereal, damn it.
I will not.
Let's
I will
not
not
rehash
have this
old
conversation again.
No, on to the next movie bracket.
The next one's Heroes.
Heroes. All right. For the number 1 seed, we've got Marvel movies versus the number 4 seed,
Which
Jason
also,
Bourne.
can we just say,
What?
like Marvel movies?
Yeah.
So you're
They're
lumping
franchises.
all of them?
Yeah,
It's a
You have
franchise.
to
The
pick a
MCU.
specific one.
No, this is a franchise. This is a movie franchise.
No, we can save a specific Marvel movie for another just Marvel bracket down the line.
You could have a 64 team Marvel bracket. There's so many of those.
I already
damn
quit
movies.
on this.
And then we've
bracket
got
before it
number
even started.
Oh, Lindsay's killing me with
Well,
this
that's going to make this
negativity.
really tough if we disagree.
We got number 2 DC versus number 3 John Wick.
I only have one that I truly care that moves forward in this.
Okay, look, Marvel has to move forward
Yeah.
just because of its cultural impact.
Yes.
Over
We threw Bourne a bone just even letting him in this bracket.
is true.
honestly.
this
I
is
swear to God, if you move DC forward over John Wick, I
Uh-oh.
don't even know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna John Wick you. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, so Lindsay's going to kill us if we
no,
don't.
she's gonna kill her dog. Somebody's gonna kill her dog. Her
No,
dog.
you moving
and then
DC
we're gonna get
forward
blamed
is
for
you
it.
killing my dog.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, this is Espo. I know what Espo's going to do, so this is going to come down to me.
Yeah, it's got to be DC. I
Come
mean,
on.
look, without the original 1989 Batman, there isn't the Marvel series. Like, it gave legitimacy to that, and then the Dark Knight trilogy is the best three superhero movies in a trilogy that
So
there's
you're
ever
telling
been
me
as well.
Basically, what we're doing here is we're just going to spend 10 minutes of you and Gerald agreeing. That's
Well,
what
no.
we're doing here.
All the one seeds are going to get to the final.
This is what it's come down to.
Oh, come on.
I'm distraught. I put so much time into this bracket.
Am I wrong?
No.
Have you disagreed
Are you
yet?
picking John Wick?
I'm thinking about it. Let me think
Liar.
about it.
He's afraid of
Liar.
Lindsey. That's what this comes down
So
to.
here's my thing. DC.
Lindsey's
Here's the thing. DC movies outside of the Christopher Nolan trilogy, by and large, not that great. They have had
That's
some good
fair.
ones. They've
That's
been better.
fair.
John Wick 1 through 3 are all bangers. There's only 3 of them though.
No,
And DC has the Batman trilogy, which alone is better than John Wick. So I'm gonna go
Shocker.
with DC.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna go.
John Wick is a
Don't even
fantastic
try,
franchise.
Gerald. Why
No,
even
she's-
try?
Well,
We
here-
already know
here's
what
our
you're doing.
first-
Why even try?
Here's our first disagreement.
It's like twisting the knife.
I'm going DC.
Oh no,
because
I'm going.
the original Batman, the
Mhm.
original Superman with
Mhm.
Christopher Reeves, and the Nolan trilogy.
Mhm.
Without those, Marvel never even tries what they're doing. They never
Yes.
even consider.
I don't know
going
if that's
that
true
route.
because I feel like Marvel did that. Like they tried a couple times their own. They did the Spider-Man movies that wasn't MCU, but they tried. I'm going Marvel just because they have a higher success. Like they have a higher batting average. They release a lot of movies, but most of them are at least good to great. DC's like their track record spotty.
Yeah, but their
Your track
highs are
record is
high.
Spotty.
She's so
What are
mad
you
at
going
me.
with, Lindsay? Lindsay,
Honestly, I wanted to just say I refuse to participate. I got Saul in the background over here saying, go Marvel. Shane, what do you think? Okay, it's Marvel. Just majority vote.
you all suck. This is again a
This is his Lucky
serial
Charms
Lucky
all over.
Charm bullshit. Again.
You guys agree
All right,
on
now
literally almost everything.
Next region, because Lindsay's just going to complain the same thing.
Lindsay's just
Let's
upset.
go.
We got the fantasy bracket.
No,
or
we're
no,
going to
adventure. Adventure, sorry. The number 1 seed is Lord of the Rings versus the 4 seed Pirates of the Caribbean. And then we've got the 2 seed Jurassic Park versus the 3 seed Indiana Jones.
Okay.
This is just disrespectful.
It's not.
It's disrespectful.
It's not. Did you watch the last Indiana Jones? It was trash.
It
I almost
wasn't
put
great, but
I
it
almost
wasn't
put
trash.
it in the. It was
And
trash.
the first handful of Indiana Jones were phenomenal.
The 3 of them,
And
back
so
in
were
the
the
80s.
first
yes, great.
Jurassic Parks.
Here's a hot take. Lord of the
What have
Rings
you
is
done for me
total
lately?
flaming trash.
No, it
Trash.
absolutely is not.
Elfin trash.
No,
All right?
no. I will not stand for this
Like,
slander. This
it's-
is awful.
Hot
is not.
garbage.
I'm not doing
I'm
this.
only
No
piling
way.
on because I'm
Shame.
mad at
No
Gerald.
way.
Please, what are they talking
Yes, I have
about?
no idea.
I work with a bunch
I'm
of
not,
haters.
Look, I'm not going to vote it over Pirates of the Caribbean.
What the
That's
heck?
disgraceful
Oh, okay, okay.
because
That'd be
Pirates
stupid.
of the Caribbean is hotter trash than
Okay,
Lord of the,
first
Rings.
3 were good, and then it just went
Wait.
downhill. They just kept making them.
Fine.
Come on.
Listen.
It's
Lord
he's
of the
playing
Rings
Keith
is a-
Richards as a pirate.
Lord of the Rings is like $1 billion franchise. We're not even having this debate.
Lord of the
not
Rings.
even having this
Listen,
discussion.
Lord of the Rings
it's
is
not
fine.
overrated.
It's a great trilogy, whatever. But you only watch it one time, and then that's it.
No,
Pirates
you
of the
don't.
You don't
Caribbean.
even
You
watch
don't
it
at
one
all.
time. It's too
Caribbean.
fucking
You
long.
literally
Then why
revamp it.
wouldn't you pick Pirates of the Caribbean?
Because it beats Pirates of the Caribbean, but it ain't getting past whoever makes it through
I
Jurassic Park and Indiana
thoroughly
Jones.
disagree. I'm going to be
Now
so
I don't
mad
feel
when that
bad about
happens.
picking Marvel over DC. I'm mad at you too,
Oh,
Espo.
I just overrated. Lord.
Because I
can't-
didn't.
I can't.
Because I didn't pick
Can't.
Johnny Depp's poor Keith Richards impersonation over Lord of the
Apparently,
Rings.
the
That you hate
allegories
me?
about good versus evil are lost on this crowd. So we're gonna go to Jurassic Park versus Indiana Jones.
That's Jurassic Park. Indy's spending his time trying to find the bones that are from these
I'm
dinosaurs.
not gonna be here tomorrow. I'm gonna be sick. just a heads up.
Good. We can handle the post game, Gerald.
Oh man!
It's Espo with the girth.
Please
All
don't
you.
put that on a tape.
Live.
So who's your vote, Lindsay?
Well, who's yours? I don't want to. No,
You go first. I'll
No,
be the tiebreaker.
You go.
All right. Well, then to keep it interesting, I'll just say Indiana Jones because I don't really care either way.
I
between
love
the two.
Jurassic Park a lot, but Indiana Jones was literally my childhood, so Indiana Jones has to be.
Why is Edward in the chat saying Indiana Jones has Nazis? Like that's the deciding factor.
But they're the bad guys.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a weird argument.
if they were the good guys, I'd understand your qualm.
Look, Well, nobody ever is a fan of Espo. I'm fine with that.
So who we taking in the
I'm
final?
taking
here?
Indy.
It's Indiana
Oh, that's so
Jones.
stupid, you guys.
No,
That
it's
is so
not,
unbelievably
Gerald.
stupid.
No, it's
yes,
not,
it is.
Gerald.
The last Indiana Jones was garbage. They had
and
aliens
the
in
Lord
it.
of the Rings is 19
Aliens!
hours long.
Fucking aliens.
Who
Why?
has time for that?
Oh my god.
And you've got Adam Silver talking about a ring in Lord of the Rings. My precious. Like,
No, not that. The disrespect to Adam Silver and Gollum all at once. I'm distraught.
Indiana Jones moves on.
Oh.
The people selected it, and the people, I mean us.
Let's
The people are flawed. So dumb.
I'm just here to stir the pot.
This is
that's
the
all.
biggest upset of the
Hey.
bracket by far.
Hey, Indiana Jones
By
has
far.
Nazis. That's
When
does
Indiana
Lord of the
Jones
Rings-
gets
Ooh,
revamped into
Michael,
$1 million
Listen,
Amazon
Michael in
show.
the chat said Indy 4 was much better than the Hobbit movies.
Hobbit. I don't know.
Garbage.
I mean, it was not
I
better than
didn't
the Hobbit
watch
movies.
them.
First of all,
I honestly didn't watch them. So I
I'm
don't know.
sorry. Why is Indiana Jones running into a fridge in the middle of the fucking
to
where is
save
it?
himself from a nuclear
was
blast.
Stupid.
Duh.
Why is Indiana Jones near a nuclear blast at all? What are we doing here?
Why are there like elfin
I'm-
things in hills? I don't know.
Point.
What's
It
that? What?
was-
Where are we now?
I don't know. What's
Where?
next?
We're in
What's our
hell.
last bracket?
Or the last region is the fantasy region.
Oh,
Fantasy
Oh, boy.
region. I'm gonna be so mad.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
not even number one. Undisputed number one, Star Wars versus number 4, Planet of the Apes. Number 2, Harry Potter versus number 3, Ghostbusters.
I feel like you should have swapped Ghostbusters and Planet of the Apes.
yeah, probably. But
That's fair.
I still would have picked Ghostbusters. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
my god.
Look, Star Wars.
The answer is 100% Planet of the Apes. I'm sorry.
Oh my
not.
God! Look,
It's not.
Oh my God! Now
guys-
she's just
You have
trolling.
made an enemy for life with that one.
I'm totally trolling
Look,
right
the-
now.
Okay.
The original Star Wars, the Mandalorian, the television series, all great. We can forget Jar Jar Binks ever existed.
Why
If we
does
can
everyone
forget
hate
that.
him so
Throw
much?
one character out.
But he's cute.
Okay, so let's get into the real Harry
Okay.
Potter versus Ghostbusters.
It's Harry Potter.
No, Harry Potter again.
It's Harry
Hot
Potter.
freaking trash.
No, it is not.
Hot freaking
Oh
trash.
my god, the allegories of good versus evil are just lost on these
Gerald's
people. It's
literally about to
mind-blowing.
explode, you
It is
guys.
mind blowing. I'm so
Gerald
mad.
is so angry, and I'm just over here living my best life, adding more fuel to this fire.
Ghostbusters is not even that good, you guys.
Ghostbusters
It's
is
not
good
even that
versus
good.
evil. You don't think Ghosts versus humans is good versus evil?
Harry
The first
Potter-
Ghostbusters is a generational film. It is spectacular.
Okay, the
People
last
still
Ghostbusters
reference
was
it.
actually a pretty cute
That was
movie. I
decent.
did like
I,
it.
I enjoyed it. It's
Yeah.
no Harry Potter, but it was good.
Are you picking Harry Potter and you're
Absolutely,
picking Ghostbusters?
I'm picking Harry Potter.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Harry Potter.
I figured that was the way
I
I was going to go.
almost
But
erupted.
I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna tell you, I prefer Ghostbusters way more than Harry Potter
Ghostbusters
every
is
day of the week.
That's why I said you should have swapped Ghostbusters with Planet of the Apes here.
Ghostbusters
It
is one
should
of the
be.
I
It should
mean,
be
Star Wars would
Ghostbusters and Harry
still-
Potter in these two the next round.
Ghostbusters.
Star Wars and Harry Potter would still advance either way.
Look.
You're just battling. You're just semantics.
I
right
disagree.
now.
Ghostbusters is
We
one of
would've
the-
picked, we would have picked Ghostbusters.
is one of the most rewatchable films there are. All right, I'm going Star Wars because screw Harry Potter.
What? Screw Harry Potter.
On multiple
It's good.
reasons. Screw Harry Potter.
Did you ever read the books, Espo?
No.
Then we're not even having this
because
conversation.
I don't care about
But this
magic.
isn't-
We're not even
this
having a
isn't about
conversation.
books that were made
Oh
to
no, I'm
movies.
aware
This
we're
is
doing
just
movies. I'm
about
aware we're doing
Do we
movies.
wanna
But
talk
you
about
cannot
the-
say Harry Potter is trash if you never read the books.
Harry Potter's
100%. You can't do it.
Harry
Can't do it.
Potter.
Yeah, Harry. Thank
It's
you.
not
All of the
trash.
background agree. Harry Potter is
Oh,
trash.
man. Y'all just can't
Don't get me
handle
started on
stories
who
with-
wrote the books
y'all just
either.
can't
We'll go
handle
down
stories
that
with
route.
hidden
Yeah, well,
Christian
that's not something worth bringing.
The whole
symbolism.
thing sucks.
Oh my
I
god.
pick
That's
Harry
Star
Potter.
Wars.
All right. I'm going.
If you screw this up, Gerald, after you just had a full on like
I just want
almost
Harry Potter to
heart
get its
attack.
respect. I'm still going Star Wars because movie-wise,
Damn
movie-wise,
straight.
the movies are better. Like Harry Potter movies are fine. They're like a comfort movie during the holidays, but like the Star Wars movies are better.
Oh my
There's
god.
better movies.
Did you just call Harry Potter a Christmas movie?
I didn't call it a
Oh,
Christmas
movies.
movie. I say it around the holidays. It's a feel-good movie around the holidays.
I'm disappointed in you.
I got you feel good right here.
Everybody's
Gerald.
just so mad at everybody right now.
This Final Four is going to be
All right,
terrifying.
all right. So we've got what are the
Well,
two?
this is nuts.
We've got Star Wars versus James Bond and Marvel versus Indiana Jones. I'm going Star Wars, obviously. I love James Bond, but like the older ones are kind of cheesy.
Are you
So is
crapping
Star Wars,
on
but
Sean Connery?
I'm not crapping. I respect Sean Connery.
Oh my god.
I respect Sean Connery, but the only like legitimately movies that can kind of like stand alone of the bunch are the Daniel Craig ones.
All of them except for the
5 Daniel Craig ones.
Lazenby Bond movies can stand by their own.
Actually, wait, these are switched. It's Star Wars and Indiana Jones are facing off.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
okay.
leave it how it is.
No,
Nope.
that's fine. We're gonna get Star Wars versus Bond anyways here in my mind.
are we?
Yeah, because
Don't vote for Star Wars. Vote for Indiana Jones.
I'm voting for Star Wars. You cannot vote for George Lucas's little brother
you
over
vote for
his
Bond,
big brother.
I'll vote for
series.
Jones. And
Fine.
okay.
No.
All right.
There's no collusion. What is this?
So James Bond over Marvel.
This is some bullshit. No. We're switching this back.
This turned
We are
into the best
switching.
day ever.
This is some bullshit.
We need to shake on this officially.
I am so
All right, it's
mad.
It's
official.
official.
All
This
right.
is bullshit.
So
Erroneous. Stop the count.
okay, so let's go
Stop
back.
the count.
So Marvel versus Bond. I say Bond.
Well, I didn't really have
I'm
anybody
Marvel.
in this fight, but
It's
I was
Marvel.
going to say 007 came from James Bond, and that was my favorite video game growing up. So it's James Bond.
god.
All right. So Bond moves on, and then we got Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Well, who are you going with,
So
Gerald?
stupid.
Who are you going with, Gerald?
I'm so fucking mad.
Maybe you guys can play some Mario Kart after this too.
Oh man.
So
Who's your pick, Gerald?
I'm not fucking voting. This is dumb.
So we got James Bond versus Indiana Jones. Who wins? Gerald, who do you pick?
I abstain.
Who do you pick, Gerald?
You have to pick Gerald.
James Bond.
All right, Bond wins.
Dang it.
We
At least
really
at
just
least you
voted
had it.
James Bond for the #1 movie franchise. What a travesty.
Oh,
I even set up phenomenal seating and we still couldn't avoid disaster.
Hey, you made enemies with Lindsay.
this.
How?
And
By putting Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones against each other in the first round, you started
Now
this.
you know how I felt when I had, what was it, Reese's Puffs out of the first round yesterday, when that's my #1. Fucking garbage.
we broke Gerald.
I'm so upset.
Oh my
So if I had
God.
voted Harry Potter, would that have changed the
Maybe.
final outcome?
Maybe, but you chose not
Because
to.
I would have had Harry Potter win over any of those teams anyway.
You'll never
You'll
know.
never know, Gerald.
This is a travesty.
The consequences of our actions.
Friendships have been destroyed today.
Gerald, so here's the thing. Gerald's so angry because I literally never take these seriously.
That's
And
why
he
I'm angry.
cares so much about them, and I'm just over here trying to make his life miserable. Bless your heart, Gerald. I'm sorry that I am the way that I am.
Some
Michael in the chat says we went scorched girth, and that's true. Look, I love that this is becoming the running joke that somebody gets really pissed off at this bracket. I flipped a table yesterday. Gerald's cursing as if he's taken Saul's master class on the art of it. It's impressive. I love this. We've broken Gerald.
Ooh, my cheeks
we really
hurt.
had
That
a
was
Final
really
Four
funny.
without Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. I'm so upset.
You would have had Lord of the Rings in your Final Four?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
That's aggressive.
Absolutely.
I don't know. No, not the F word. Just the having it in there. I don't care about that.
I can't wait till we have another bracket.
We could do it tomorrow.
I'm gonna sabotage. I don't even care what wins. I'm gonna sabotage everyone else.
You have too
This
much.
is my Joker origin story.
No, Gerald, you have too much, like, I don't even know what's the word I'm looking for. He would never throw something.
Too much.
Too much integrity.
There you go.
Which we
Professional
obviously
integrity.
completely lack.
Gerald has far too much integrity to throw an
I
entire
wish the camera had
bracket.
caught their handshake off screen. They
Oh
literally
no,
shook
I caught it on
hands.
No, they
screen.
did.
Oh,
No,
did it?
we got it.
Oh.
Got it.
By the way, if you want to reward Gerald for his integrity, go to gophnx.com,
This is
get a
true.
membership. You can read his articles where he gives you a 6-part dissertation on why Lord of the Rings is one of the best films ever, and Harry Potter is right there with it.
It's the
So
next
if you want
great
to check
movie
it out,
franchise for them to shit on.
Oh my gosh. But for real, you should become a member at gophnx.com because Gerald puts in a lot of hard work with integrity.
Thank you.
He makes sure things are done correctly and not just for the hell of it, like Espo and I do. So go read his articles because you might actually learn something really cool.
Is tomorrow the 16 PHNX employee bracket?
No.
Oh, God.
You want to burn some things down?
Absolutely not. That would be a hot disaster. We're in the business of poo-pooing on movies and serials, things that don't matter, not the business of destroying lives, okay?
Arizona beat writers tomorrow, the 16-person bracket.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have a pregame show here on our YouTube page, a postgame show as well on our YouTube page. But if you can't make it, you can always listen to wherever you listen to your podcast. As a reminder, be sure to subscribe, rate, review. It helps us a lot, and we really appreciate it. Thanks for chatting with us in the chat. And until tomorrow, you can follow me on Twitter at Lindsey Smith AZ. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourguet. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo.
Remember, some men just want to watch the world burn. Ahoy, hoy!